First of all, shout out to Passport OG in his latest video, well not his latest, but one of his most recent videos where he included me and my spiel on the last video I made, particularly addressing the hood culture that has basically sort of stumbled the reputation of brothers overseas, BMs overseas. I'm not going to use brothers at this point because that's sort of a fake term. And we'll listen to this video, you'll know the reason why. But shout out to him, and also shout out to Auston Holleman, his recent videos on why white men are winning in Latin America and the only places where brothers can go at this point, which, just to summarize it, and I hate to use this spoiler word, it's Africa and black parts of Latin America. If you want to stick to those locations, then that's one thing, but if you're listening to my videos, you're probably the kind of individual who doesn't want to feel as if you are restricted to dealing with people you're told to deal with. And that's the thing. A lot of people wonder if I'm a snow bunny chaser or if I am an eater of tequila, a drinker of tequila, maybe that's true, or a kimchi lover. You know what? I like whoever likes me, first of all. And second, I like stable culture. I like cultures where you don't have to worry about being looked at as an alien or a pariah because you don't want to engage in BS. Basically, hood culture of any race, degenerate culture of any race, is something that I'm not going to delve into in any circumstance whatsoever. And that includes hood culture from my so-called own race. So if anyone in these pro-vax gonna try to shame me, cajole me, or any of you out there saying that, why don't you go to Africa? Why don't you go to the barrios? And that's the thing, a lot of these passport bros that I still have an issue with. Why is it that every single time passport bros open their mouth, they always tell brothers to go and do these three main things in order to get women? Hip-hop nightclubs, barrios / favela / the hood, and code approaching in the two aforementioned places. I can go on why we're losing, and that's a video to itself. But at this point, I want to focus more on the positives, on what brothers who are not hood-minded can do to win. Where can we go? I'm not going to go specifically in the locations, partially because I want to keep these concealed from the so-called passport bros who are running out here like they're some part of a gang because they still have this baby kid mindset, whether it's the way they speak or the way they act, whether it's because some of them used to be into that life but are no longer in that life, but still are stuck on stupid and acting like they're in the streets. I'm not going to have these other places ruined by them. But for the brothers out there who are smart enough to eschew that kind of life for better things, you gotta look for these areas, right? If you're looking for a place where you will be seen as an individual instead of part of the funky bunch, then first of all, you gotta look at cosmopolitan locations, particularly cosmopolitan locations where they do not see a lot of black poverty. Now, I noticed when I was in certain locations where there's a lot of black poverty, when blacks in the face of homelessness, or worse, the face of criminal activities or illicit industries, I was seen in a certain way. Even though I might not have looked African, and that might have helped me to avoid the worst treatment, I will admit that, but nonetheless, I was not seen as the most favorable. It was only when I went to cosmopolitan cities or even mid-sized cities where there weren't a lot of us, or where there were a handful of us who were in very applicable positions or respectable positions, where I got respect. I'm not going to mention particular cities, but I know you guys can do your own research. I believe in you guys, and the guys who are watching this channel are the guys that I know can find their own haven in this otherwise turbulent world and turbulent time that we're living in. And I hate to say this, the turbulent time, a lot of which is due to this hood mentality. But another place where we can go in order to be seen as equals, in order to get some sort of respect, are basically places who still love the US, or ironically, places that detest the US. Now, how can that be, right? Well, places that love the US from a geopolitical standpoint. I'm not talking, and let's just be honest, most of Western Europe, for some reason, they love to crap on the US. If you're in a place where within the first 5 minutes they're talking about foreign policy and what Trump did and what Biden did and all this other kind of stuff, just get out. Don't even waste your time, because these are, even if they aren't racist places, these are places that have the same individuals who basically have 3-month vacations, free school, free education, and free housing, mainly because the United States does their military for them. I was going to say it like that. But so as far as that's concerned, there's going to be a lot of arrogant individuals who think, or particularly arrogant women who think that, hey, you know what? Oh, you're American. You think you're better than us. So yeah, I wouldn't even waste time with those places, a lot of which are in Western Europe. I'm not going to lie. But also alongside that, places that we have helped, and I know that list is dwindling because of whatever foreign policies I'm not going to get into today, but places that we have helped, those are the places that you should go to as brothers, because they will show a degree of gratitude. Now, places that we say lost wars in, or places where they don't care too much for policy. I'm not saying go to North Korea or even Iran anytime soon, but even in the case of, hell, in the case of Iran, case of Cuba, case of Vietnam, and I won't even mention these places because passport bros aren't going to invade those places anytime soon. I highly doubt it. So I think the rest of us are safe in there. Those places, when it comes to foreign policy, and as I said, I wouldn't recommend going to those places without heavy due diligent research, but those places that tend to don't care for US policy, a lot of the times, they will not see brothers as the policymakers, as individuals who are causing the ill geopolitical relations. They will usually see, I hate to say this, white men as the head of that, because in American culture and in American media, the white man has to be the hero still. He has to be the head of the table. He has to be the CEO. He has to be the final say. And I'm not saying this as a derogatory term, but that's just how it is portrayed in American media overseas. When you see some sort of geopolitical stuff happening, and 9 times out of 10, it's a white dude. It's no boomer white dude. It's no okay boomer white dude. And let's be honest, a lot of those okay boomer white dudes are even screwing over their millennial and Gen Z white men. And some of them are finally seeing this. Now, granted, some of them are still stuck on the blame the BBC stuff and or blame the small hat people stuff. And even though they don't like the watermelon people at all, and 10 years ago they were talking trash about the watermelon people or the religion that the watermelon people came from, but now they want to blame the small hat people because, yeah, we aren't going to get into that. The white men who are realizing they're being screwed by boomer elites, those are the ones I don't listen to this channel. So come on, right on in and sit. But as far as brothers, where can we go for acceptance? Basically places where we don't have a lot of riffraff. And to be honest, it doesn't have to be the most cosmopolitan location. As long as you can find a location where you will be seen as an individual, that is the best thing that you can do at this point. Because a lot of the culture is not embracing individuality. I've seen now more than ever that a lot of the culture wants to buy into sagging your pants, having swag, talking like you're a dope boy, talking like you have a 3rd grade education, or having tattoos to a certain degree. Now, even that's debatable, but still, at this point, whatever that black redneck culture that's seen on TV, that is used as a Trojan horse to basically tell the rest of the world to not like us, to detest us, to not let us in their countries, to treat us like crap. A lot of black men just don't see that that is what it is. It's a Trojan horse, and it has been like this, especially since 2000s. The black news traveled before the passport pro phenomenon, especially during the 90s, 80s, and forward. Did you have this problem? Really? Did you really have this problem of having to defend your individuality against the black redneck culture? Yeah, maybe in America you did, even back then, But the 90s before, the images of brothers were Will Smith, Michael Jordan, a couple of other individuals. But now, yeah, okay, the best we have, what Michael B. Jordan and the dude from the UK, Idris Elba, right? Denzel Washington, right? Or even Barack Obama. And even him, like, we can lump him in with some of the policy gaps that we've had. But let's be honest, looking at the recent 2 presidents that we had, Obama's looking better and better, and that could help educated BMs by default. I'm just saying, so keep an eye on that. But in the meantime, if you're looking for a place where you're being seen as not a stereotype, go to the places where they either still love us because of what we did, who we helped defend. Say, for instance, Kosovo, that country, remember that? Or actually not Kosovo, Bosnia, it's Bosnia. That was the country that we helped defend, essentially. Or countries that detest us. And by detest us, I mean detest boomer white guys who are also telling their Gen Z and millennial white guys that you got to pull up by your own bootstraps now, you know. And it was funny, I heard Rainer say, he said something about how a lot of these boomer white guys are basically becoming the white male version of gang guys. All you need is gang. All you need to pull us up by your bootstraps. Take Ramsey, Dennis Prager. Yeah, those guys. Yeah. But let's see what the reasonable white dudes, the younger ones, will do with that response, and see that they're going to accept that as an answer. But nonetheless, so you have that. You have places where blacks are not seen as the face of poverty. There are still places like that, believe it or not. And also, you gotta look for places where you're seen as a novelty, in a good way. And I can't just tell you to go to one location here or there or everywhere. It is an anecdotal journey that everyone has to take. You may fit in one place that I might not fit into, and that might be because of a cultural compatibility issue. Not only say issue, but just a cultural compatibility thing. And vice versa as well. I know all these pathwork bros go into places where it's turn up 24/7. Me personally, I can only stand so much turn up. I need order, I need stability. I need a place that some people might call sterile. And there aren't a lot of places in the world that have the sterility that I like. And the places that do, let's just say a good amount of them still see not even Brad and Chad, but Biff and Jimbo as like the only foreigners worthy of being in their presence. Not all places are like this, thankfully. There are places that have that stability, that have that sterility, and that politeness that sees me as an equal. But I'm just gonna say this in the personal note, a lot of those places, they're harder to get to, depending on what kind of line of work you're in. Anyway, that's my spiel, that's my personal issue that I gotta deal with. Everybody else out there always been an X.